It's exactly 9 after the hour 6 on the mighty Metro FM. It's Sports That Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. Thank you so much to Touch. They do it again tomorrow between 3 and 6. I love that TRL thing, huh? I love it, to be able to bring people into studio, isn't it? To be able to have you be a part of that team. They do it. It's called TRL. You get onto Touch's Instagram account. He goes live and you then are in studio. But yeah, we have cameras, and those cameras make sure that we broadcast out live as we are right now on Twitter and on Facebook. A little bit later on, we'll throw it onto Instagram on our page at SNWA Snawa. Go take a look at all the clips there. And of course, on YouTube, Andile Ncube as well, where we play you the full episodes. You can go to metrofm.co.za for the full podcast of the show as well. It's exactly, 10 after the hour 6. And it's going to be an interesting show because we're going to cross to the UK to speak to Ben Jacobs. We're going to be speaking to Ben Jacobs about all things Champions League today and tomorrow. It's a quarterfinals and it's going to be a big one. We spoke a little bit of international football on Monday. We bring it back today again, this time in the form of the Champions League. So we'll speak to Ben Jacobs about that. But today also, in that horribly sounding clip that we played at the top there, that was Tso Vilagazi. I'll get a cleaner version for Thursday as we do a throwback Thursday to today. Because today is that day for most South Africans. It's the day when many are fathers, brothers, uncles, sons left their homes for the beautiful game. It's a tragedy to which, even if it was just one, will never be forgotten in this country. 43 is 43 too much. For the beloved game, it changed the way that we do things as far as the derby is concerned. But it's on this day, 22 years ago. It doesn't seem or feel like it, but it's 22 years ago, 11th of April, when we lost those people, when we lost those brothers. We can never forget it. And to the many of the families that on this day are reminded constantly and continuously, we're not reminding you of what's sad, but we're reminding you of the heroes that support this beautiful game, that to whom without, there isn't a football match in a stadium that's filled and players that play and Andile on the radio that brings you the game. There isn't. So 22 years later, we still haven't forgotten. We're going to take a quick break though, because over and above Champions League, Marumo Gallants have managed to get their employees back. The chairman of Marumo Gallants, Dr. Abram Sello, is going to be talking to us. Let's take a very quick break. When we come back, straight to the chairman.
The Metro FM Music Awards 2023. Black is back. The nominees for Best New Age R&B Artist are Manana, Mo, Tandon J, Venom and Shishiliza, Zadok. To vote, dial *120 *45787 hash. USSD rates charged at R1.50 per minute. The Metro FM Music Awards 2023. Brought to you by the Mpumalanga Provincial Government. Visit and explore Mpumalanga, the place of the rising sun. Metro FM, it's where you're at.
The mighty Metro FM. Saving the airwaves. Yeah. From the zonal uproar. This is Sport Night Amplified with Andile. Okay.
Kurt Lainchies, who was given the job after Morgan Mamila had left Chippa United, relieved of his duties. I was going to give Chippa a call, but I figured I've had this conversation before.
Deja vu.
He's demoted the very same coach before, so...
Let's rather play that.
Yeah, Chippa, I didn't want to bother you on this Easter Monday. I've got the interview.
The decision had to be taken, but of course he still has a contract as a player. He has never had a contract as a coach.
So that's Chippa Pengesi when he demoted Kurt Lainchies beginning of this season. So we figured, hey man, we've had this conversation before, so let's play what his thoughts were then. We've got it. We've done this before.
Sorry.
This is Sport Night Amplified, powered by SABC Sport. Let's go.
It's Sports Not Amplified with Andile on the mighty Metro FM. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do have on the line a man that I've been trying to get on the phone for the longest time, Dr. Abram, Sello, chairman of Marumo Gallants, that joins us. Chair, thank you so much for taking our call and coming on and talking to us. We really appreciate you making the time.
Thank you, Andile, and thank you. Good evening to our beloved radio listeners. Thank you.
Chair, before I even begin with the saga, of course, that occurred now almost a month we're going to today, the 11th of April, a big day for most South Africans, for football in South Africa. As you will remember, 22 years ago, you know, what happened at Ellis Park. You're a person that loves football, that's also in touch with all things that happen with the culture of football. Do you want to perhaps say something about that? Do you remember it clearly? Do you remember where you were? You weren't involved in football back then. What do you remember about 22 years ago?
No, I was involved in football as a spectator or as a supporter or football lover like any South African citizen. And with that tragic incident between Chiefs and Bears, and you know what, it was really a different day.
Yeah, I know. It is one of those. And you and I both, I mean, spectators of the football that we love so much. And now you are involved in football, and the involvement in football has made yourself and your team headline news. I don't want to ask you a lot of questions because, I mean, I saw the press interview and I've been following the story. What is it that you'd like for us to know, Dr. Abram Sello?
What I'd like you to know is in football, every day there are new challenges. And then as you progress forward, you get even more challenges. And you get out of your country, even more and more challenges, and you learn more. And not only one person, we the governing bodies, ourselves as chairman, the players, the SAFAs, the PSL, the government, we learn a lot because we interact with different groups of people, religions, and we say, how can we make life better and how to make this soccer thing better? And I think one day it will be okay.
Dr. Sello, I just want to clarify a couple of things that, you know, are obviously in the public space, and I know some of them you've spoken to already. But the first one, how does it come that the team is in Turkey and needing somebody else to buy the ticket? Because I would have assumed that when you're in South Africa and you're making travel arrangements, you buy a ticket that connects in Turkey, yes, but eventually you buy a ticket that goes all the way to Libya.
No. You remember everything you do the planning. We planned that way and we had the full promise that this is going to happen and all that, and we believe in that. And that is number one. Number two, we are forced to fulfill the fixture as per requirement for CAF Group A. You can't just sit back and say, now I'm not going to do it and I don't have flights and all those kind of things. From here to take is not a problem. But now to get into that, we have been promised to say, okay, fine, this can happen, although the seats are full. We will have some cancellations and we can do that. But there's a surprise when you get to Istanbul. You can't buy tickets into Vegas. You have to get somebody in Libya to buy for you to cross over. So that is a challenge. The promise and all those we had, and we believe that this is going to happen. And indeed it happened. We honored that fixture, and we are proud of that to make sure that at least the club made it up to that particular stage, although the outcome depending on whoever crossed along the way. So
you bought a ticket to Turkey, but you hadn't bought the connecting flights because you thought you'd pay for them and buy them whilst you were there already.
Yeah, no, it was very clear that now the person was busy buying them and then we couldn't just send them directly to us at that particular time. And remember, it's the Ramadan month and it depends on how many seats are available at that time and all those things. And we believe that we'll be able to pay them when we get to Istanbul. And we said there are so many tickets, pay them quickly and move on. But now, it was not the case. No, it can only be paid there. So the arrangement and the promise and all those things which we believe in, that we want to reach our destination, it was clearly there and planned, although it was the last minute, because we started to plan this trip 2 months before. But due to all these problems of I've just mentioned, and all the agencies, different agencies holding in the seats, you couldn't just penetrate. You couldn't find them online. You can't do anything. You can only do the walk-in, or you can only have to have somebody who stand and walk in there and make sure that it happens. That is exactly the scenario. That's how it happened.
And then, of course, Dr. Ali was that person who said, okay, fine, I'll do, the business for you. I'll pay for everything. I'm a little, I don't know how you feel, but when I heard the kit disappearing story, it just seemed so convenient. The kit getting lost, the luggage getting lost. I have my own suspicions and my own thoughts as to how that could have happened. What did you make of the kit story?
The kids, but remember, even if you go and play with the opponent, you find that the colors are similar, and the officials say, no, you can't play that one. You have to come and look for an alternative. The issue of this, because of these difficulties in crossing over from the real world in Turkey to the real world of Benghazi, the people have to be separated in different ways, and then with the luggages we have. And unfortunately, when we get one of the kids we have to use is left behind. Then we just have to make sure that now we can't bring them not to honor the game. Our sports shop, you go there, buy, and you play.
Dr. Sello, I want to get into it a little bit more, because I sympathized with you to a certain degree, because, and I've seen the press conference and I've heard you, was never your intentions to leave anybody behind. And I know the stresses that you went through as well. I'd love to hear it from your point of view as well. But also, I'd love to hear you share some of the struggles that you've had. We all know that the PSL is a very financially taxing league as well. But let's take a quick break. When we come back, Dr. Abram Sello, the chairperson, has got his two members of his staff back in South Africa, and we're in conversation with him.
Truth be told, the Hollywood Bet Super League rocks. It's double-header action on Sunday, 15 April at 11 a.m. University of Pretoria's top agenda is to grab 3 points and move up the log standings. But Coal City Wizards have a plan to stop the varsity ladies. Then at 3 p.m., Tshwane University of Technology are looking for a distinction against Durban ladies. Meanwhile, the Queens from eThekwini are in the capital city to steal the show. The Hollywood Bet Super League doubleheader at 11 a.m. University of Pretoria versus Coal City Wizards. And Tshwane University of Technology battles it out with Durban ladies. Catch both matches live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, OpenView 124, also available on sabcsport.com and SABC Plus. Hashtag We Love It Here, brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
It hasn't been a favorable run for Chelsea FC in the Premier League. They now shift their undivided attention to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Chilwell on the volley! There you go! X Factor Supreme, Ben Chilwell!
Meanwhile, Brighton are looking for victory away from home to brighten their chances of a decent spot in the top half.
Gross across, Matoma's there! 3-0! Glorious football once again from the Seagulls. They carve West Ham open.
Who will impress their fans, the Blues or the Seagulls? Do not miss out on this thrilling vibe. Chelsea versus Brighton and Hove Albion on Saturday, 15 April, live at 3 p.m. on S3. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
It's 22 after the hour 6. It's the mighty Metro FM. Dr. Abram Sello is gracious with his presence. He is the chairman of Marumo Gallants. I mean, a very complex and complicated route to Libya that sees him not able to buy his own tickets. Dr. Abram, at some points, do you sit back and think, I mean, the way that I have to go, my kit is disappearing, there's exorbitant amounts of money. Do you ever think, more, I was just conned?
Yeah, you feel that, but you have to be a man and man up to make sure that you promised the football lovers, the South Africans, the Africans, the CAF, that we're going to honor this fixture, this group stage fixture. And then that is the purpose and that is the target. No matter what stops on your way, you have to honor that. And we are proud to say we have honored that despite all these sabotages with funding being on the way. And then we say, okay, fine. We have to come up with every alternative to make sure that we comply, we honor the target, and we deliver.
And then, I mean, when we spoke to Dr. Ali here, I mean, he spoke about you guys owing him just under 700,000 rands, which you refused to pay because you said it was exorbitant amount for whatever services that he had offered. How much did you end up paying him?
I wasn't even going to that detail because when we buy the kit, our staff members had the money, converted the dollars, and they figured just and buy it. And you had over, if you hear over those 2 years, they had the money, but he quickly jumped and paid for that, and all those things just in the situation. And not to say we didn't have money to do that. We had the money, and we paid everything in full as per the quotation and the estimated cost of what my staff members were seeing. But at the later stage now, the people are paying, they withdraw money, they're paying, but we don't finish paying. And I think it was a very difficult situation. But anyway, it's water under the bridge, and then we learned lessons of how we have to do things and all those things, and how to deal with other people, the scenarios and all those kind of situations.
1845 on Sports Night Amplified is crazy. That's the time you want to be listening to the show. 086 000 2160 and WhatsApp on 060 552 7303. We close this case, but some of the questions that I asked, trust me, they're going to come back up. It's exactly 18:35 on the Mighty Metro FM at Sports Night Amplified with Andile. I am Andile Ncube. And in breaking news, there was great news that we received, of course, over the last 24 hours. Marumo Gallants Football Club staff members Rufus Matsena and Tebogo Amos Dlomo are home. They're finally home. I think it's just over 20 days that they were out in Libya in a hotel room. And Rufus does join us now. We did speak to him once, of course, when he was in his hotel room. And many of you, so many of you, I don't think we've ever received voice notes as much as we did after we spoke to Rufus, with many of you saying they need to come home. You know, we extended that conversation to DECO. We spoke to SAFA. We put all the pressure we could on all the parties in order to make sure that we have them here. Rufus, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us, and welcome home.
Thank you. Let me thank even your listeners. In particular, I want to, pour my heart out to you guys. Your efforts. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I even beginning to be emotional. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart,
Rufus. And we had let the story go. This is what South Africans are like. Many radio stations did the story. We did too, and we had let it go. And I said this on air on the day we spoke to you, the day after. An elderly woman, not very old, but probably in her 40s or 50s, said to me, "Andile, what a sad story you did on the radio." When she bumped into me in the streets, I don't know her. "What a sad story you did on radio. Please get those children home. I am scared for their lives. Please get them home." And we decided on that day that South Africans care about this story. They care about you. We're not going to let it go. So we're glad and we're happy that you are home.
No, I'm grateful. We are grateful, actually, myself and Tebogo. We're very grateful. And, the only thing now that's left for us is to pick up the pieces. Fortunately, our team, the chairman has organized some professional help for us. So we're going to go some sessions for counseling, and hopefully, it will assist. And it doesn't only involve us. He said, no, if there's anybody from the family who also wants to be part of this, he's more than welcome, so that, we clear our minds and focus on what we love most, which is football.
And, when I heard you a little bit earlier tell the story of, because Dr. Ali, the owner of the hotel, when he came here, he said you have the biggest suite in the hotel. You're eating at the buffet. He said all these amazing things about your stay there. But when I heard you this afternoon speak about the fact that they even switched off the hot water for you, and we know what the weather's there is like at the moment. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a little bit chilly at the moment. Then I came to realize that we didn't know the extent, although we feared for the worst, but we didn't know the extent of the troubles that you were undergoing.
Yeah, most definitely. Remember, I spoke to your producer, I think the day before, that, we would so much love to explain what is going on. But now, unfortunately, the impact thereof is going to be massive. Remember, before we could say a word, the treatment was not nice. So when you say something negative in that foreign country, you can imagine. So it was a very serious mental torture.
I can
and
imagine.
The issue of us getting meals as he proclaims, it's not true. It's not true. I mean, Andile, if you can see me versus when I arrived there, I even posted, sent 2 pictures to one of my family members that look at me before when I arrived in Benghazi and look at me now. I've lost so much weight because of what was going on there.
Were you? Is that because of the stress, or is it because of how you were treated? I mean,
what's happening is you are at a country. 1, you don't have your traveling document. 2, your return ticket is being withheld with your traveling document. So, which is to say, your destiny is decided by somebody. Then you call that freedom. You call that and say to people, I'm looking after these guys. My home is not in Benghazi. It's here in South Africa. So if you force me to stay there and proclaim that I'm in a good position, that, everybody can see me as happy, then you are painting a wrong picture. And on daily basis, I'm asking you, when am I going home?
Did you fear for your life at any point?
Exactly. We did. We did. We know the history of Libya. Not that we're saying they are violent, but based on the little history that we know, it's not a place where you can say, I'm taking my kids on holiday. And fortunately, today, if you heard the minister, what he said, that, I heard the guys are in Libya, immediately they mentioned Benghazi, I started freezing. The minister himself, he said that. And most of that, he said he was in Benghazi. Fortunately for him, he goes to Benghazi with the former president. They've got all the VIP protection there, but still he felt unsafe. So think about me and Romo, the 2 of us, without any form of protection, stuck in Benghazi with somebody who calls the shot.
Did it? I mean, and I say, did you fear for your life? But was there a point where you felt, Wabonamo,
most definitely, because there's a point where the guy himself took us out with the car. We went to some very awkward places where he met some guys there. They started talking. We are in the car.
And you don't understand the language.
About. Yes. Then every time they talk, they look at the car. So you wonder what's going on here. Then he comes back. Comes into the car. Then he drives to wherever until he gets to the hotel. When he gets to the hotel, he says, "Yeah, you guys are lucky. I'm not a cruel somebody like people here in Libya."
No.
Why do you say that? Cruelty and whatever you think you've been owed, how do you correlate the two? And most of that, myself and Dina, we don't owe you a cent.
Yeah, I know. That was definitely to unsettle you.
I would understand if we were left behind as a collateral. I would understand. But we were not a collateral. We were left behind because there was a problem of depositing money into his account. He says, no, I want my money in cash. And that's how they operate in Libya. Believe in receiving cash. Once you speak of the bank, they tell you, no, the bank is going to charge me a certain percentage. I want my money in cash.
So they didn't want a transfer and none of that. I mean, it made it very difficult to pay the money. Wow.
I'm telling you, he gave the chairman an account of somebody who is in Turkey.
Who now has to withdraw the money and travel to the money.
In Turkey, it was a problem. To an extent, the chairman even arranged that there's a guy who went to Turkey to try and get the money so that he can pay those guys. The bank in Turkey said, no, you cannot withdraw from here. Then he eventually came back to South Africa.
What a mess. Rufus, listen, you said it, pick up the pieces, and I think the best thing that not only you but the club can do is face this relegation threat head on and survive. You've proved to be a survivor. I think the club needs that sort of mentality now. Yeah, no, that we need. That we need, like I said, with this whole ordeal, like I told you the other day, the only way the boys can help us heal is to survive relegation. I'm with you. Rufus, we appreciate you. We're glad you're safe. Love to the family. And I'm pretty sure your life moving forward is going to be a little bit different because of this incident. Thank you so much.
No, I thank you, and I thank all the South Africans who supported us through this ordeal. God bless you all.
Even if there was desire from Chelsea's perspective, it would be very difficult to get Ancelotti now because he could still stay at Real Madrid. But if he goes, which is a possibility, then Brazil is more likely than Chelsea. And from Ancelotti's point of view as well, he has to appreciate, I think, at this point, the now, which is not thinking about next move, which is not thinking about Chelsea, which is not talking about their problems, which is not contemplating a return, even if it was something that Chelsea wanted, which, as I say, it isn't. They're focused on Luis Enrique, Julian Nagelsmann, and 4 or 5 other candidates to do their due diligence, but Ancelotti isn't one of them. But he has to think more about going out now affects that desire that he says, at least publicly, he has to stay until 2024, because in a bizarre way, he's a manager under pressure. We saw this last season as well, around the quarterfinals of the Champions League. People were saying the same thing. If Real Madrid get knocked out, then Ancelotti might go. And instead, he won the Champions League. And it's sort of a similar scenario now. If Chelsea as underdogs dump out the defending champions, and then you look at their La Liga position, people will be saying Ancelotti has to go at the end of the season. If he beats Chelsea and wins the Champions League, he just might get another year at the football club. So there's actually quite a lot at stake for Ancelotti, and I think that's also why he's distancing himself from the Chelsea vacancy.
I appreciate you, Ben. Do follow him, of course. So that story and so many more I found on his page. Keep updated with Ben Jacobs. Ben, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for talking to us.
All the best and enjoy the Champions League.
Will do. Ben Jacobs speaking to us all the way out in London. He's going to be watching the Champions League from there. Ish, you know, I stinged myself. Kititimile, the best time of the show, eh? Time management between Timmy and I today. I just looked up now and the time is gone. But at least give us 1 or 2 there before Faith Mahope comes in. Give us just 1 or 2 there, please, Malcolm.
Yeah, we gon' get them. Get connected. WhatsApp the Metro FM studio. 060-552-7303.
Andile, good evening there. I can just imagine the trauma that the guys, the Marumo Gallants, the two guys, the trauma that they underwent in Libya. It shows that CAF really has to do something about this, because each time South African teams play outside, there's always issues. And I can just imagine the fear that the guys were under. It's Makhosi here in Brits. Thank you. Thanks for the show.
Dumela Andile, bona. Now I'm so happy those guys are back, and I'm the first time caller actually, and it's program it's really helping, and everything we dirang a go keletse broaka gore wa itseking taba o itlogele e hengile, and then yeah. God bless you. Keep it Muchieng from Tembisa.
Thank you, Peter. Last one there to me.
Andile, Jimmy Maga, the busy god of Moze, Andile, Musache, Maragifila Garawel, the chairman of Garawataga, Andile, or Garawataga, chairman. Chairman of Garawataga, Andile, Maramosache, a wheezy melody, or Tamazana, Jimmy Maga, the busy god of Moze, Bedangi.
Hey, I work out such a non allow some more such. Dear Sutlaw such. Hey, Outlaw such a tattoo. Wapi, Rabotornali tattoo, come out last time. Dios. Faith.
Hi.
You know, the countries that are trialing and have started trialing 4-day weeks. And today just feels like it should be one of those. Like a 5-day week this week is just not on. For some of us that work 5-day weeks, even on a week like this.
That is very true. That is very, very true.
What do you make of those suggestions that there should be a 4-day week? 10 hours instead of the 8, 4-day work week.
You know, it's great in developed nations where it's no longer about clocking in, but it's about output and deliverables. right? Unfortunately, we still have a lot of corporate structures that are still very backward in their operations. So they use a lot of the clock. And if I see my body in the office, that means that my body in the office is working, not necessarily based on deliverables at work. Do I think it will work? I think it actually is the best thing, because then it forces you to actually work hard for your 4 days. I'm a rewards person, right? So I'm a person that believes in work hard so that I can get a reward later.
Imagine having to wait a 3-day weekend with a system offline.
Yeah.
I know. What do you have going on today?
Today, look, it's going to be one of those, I think, conversations that will talk about the political discourse of the country. 2024 is just around the corner, and that's, of course, we're expecting South Africans to go and head off to the polls, and that means that we need to be able to understand what kind of political climate we're going into. Today, we're unpacking from 7 o'clock, cater deployment policy. You know that it landed up in the Pretoria High Court, taken in by the Democratic Alliance, because they were saying that actually it's actually unconstitutional. They wanted to be declared unconstitutional. The African National Congress has come out to say actually it is protected under the oath of freedom of speech. So we're just going to be unpacking here cater deployment and what was its intention in the beginning, right? Why did we have cater deployment? Because there was a reason for it. And then we're also going to be tackling the issue around coalitions. 2024 is also around the corner. So if they're failing to work in Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Bay is hanging on by a thread. We know that the city of Johannesburg, their conversations, actually is trying to pass a motion of no confidence against the city of Johannesburg mayor. Ekurhuleni is in its own little conundrum, right? And so we are struggling to stabilize where coalition government exists. But let's not pretend that there could be a big possibility of a coalition nation.
Wow.
What does that look like? If we can't get it right at local government level, what help do and what, you know what I'm saying? How does it look like from a national perspective, right? And what do the politics look like? So we're going to unpack that significantly.
We're speaking about co-governing of the country.
100%. So if we can't co-govern the local municipalities, how are we going to fare co-governing the country? I don't want to wake up and have a president every 2 weeks because of a motion of no confidence. And if we can't get it right, then what are we doing exactly? And then after 8:30, we're going to be in conversation with the chairperson of the International Institute of International Affairs. That is Ntate Mbeki. Of course, we know him as Thabo Mbeki's brother. But
who's been very outspoken of late, by the way.
Very outspoken. So we're going to talk about the state of the nation with Mbeki just after 8 o'clock. So it's going to be very political today, but I think some conversations are necessary so that they can evoke a consciousness within us, so that we understand that 2024 is around the corner. You get to pick who's in power. And if they all end up in some kind of power, are you comfortable with the coalition that may exist? I don't want a president every 2 weeks.
Well, there's a lot to look forward to. That's a great conversations that are going to be had. And if you do listen to this show, you'll know that, trust me, if anything needs to be unearthed, it will be done. So 3 after the hour 7, thank you so much. And we need to say this to every single one of you, because sometimes you are conscious. Sometimes we just do radio and you say to us, no, Andile, it's bigger than radio. Thank you for holding us accountable so that we are able to deliver on what we do. From myself, my entire team, Timmy T. Maranda in particular, Thabo Nkwala, and the man that's behind the buttons there, Undlovu, Student Village is what we call him. Pela Pela, Nanzomi.